I'm Michelle.
I'm Rachel. I'm Chanel.
Okay, this is good. Okay, so how many of you are possibly thinking of majoring in women's leadership and want to work in the church? Well, here's the thing. There are roles that women can and cannot have in the church, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So in the church, women can have roles, but they are not allowed to be pastors in the church, and that goes according to Scripture. And also, it talks about that in the Southern Baptist Convention, which is a denomination within many different denominations of the church. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what Scripture actually says about women being leaders in the church. So, considering a pastor's role, in 1 Corinthians 14, it talks about how women should be silent in the church, and it also talks about that in 1 Timothy chapter 2. It says, women should be silent and be submissive in the church, letting the men do their work, and just have us as females listening. But there are women in the Bible who did have higher up roles, and that person, someone of that name, is named Phoebe, and she was considered a deaconess in the Bible. But in today's culture, Scripture, as we read it, says that women should be silent and submissive in the church. But not only that, when we look at if women can actually be pastors in the church, as J. Cole says, he says no, and he uses Scripture from Titus, and he uses Scripture from 1 Timothy to make this point as well. And he also says that women should be submissive in the church. But as I was doing some research on this, I found churches who believe that if there is a woman who is teaching a Sunday school class and if she's teaching younger boys, a woman should have her husband or have another person working with her so that it doesn't look like women are the main roles, have the main roles in the church. So I know from growing up that if there were women teaching Sunday school classes that had mainly younger boys, they had their husband helping them out, especially if they were in middle school or high school, because there are just certain boundaries you need to set as a woman wanting to work in the church, especially in youth ministry. And most churches will say that they do not want a woman working in, especially student ministry, to have a teenage boy or a high school boy alone with her, because that just, again, there's so many different boundaries that go along with that. But Scripture says that women should be silent in the church, and we know that women should not be a pastor over elders, over men especially. But there are certain roles that women can have in the church, and they can be children's directors, they can be secretaries, they can be worship leaders, they can have so many other jobs, like discipleship jobs and other different things like that. They can be associates to work along with certain pastors, but they are never to go along and be above a pastor as an elder. Again, Scripture does say that Phoebe was a deaconess, but when we look at today's church, that is really not what we look at. And when we look at the Southern Baptist Convention, a lot of people think that they are anti-women, and they're really not, because women are as gifted as men are, but they really want men to be more of the spiritual role for the church, as Christ is the head of the church. And so we've talked about today how women should not be elders in the church, what Scripture says about women's leadership in the church, and then we have also looked at what women can do in the church. But how do we apply that? So when we look at what we can do in the church, we should remember these things as certain things that we can do in the church, like being a children's director, or being a discipleship director, or any other sorts of jobs, because again, there are roles that women can have in the church. They are not supposed to be elders over men in the church. Thank you for listening to this speech, and I really hope you enjoyed it.